Coming up, 2-year mark. It's been 2 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. We'll take a look at the history and what's happened since. Then, worms for the win. This 11-year-old girl is on a mission to solve a big problem. We'll introduce you to her and another winner of a national STEM challenge who is creating quite a buzz.
Today, I would like to talk about my invention, Revere, an early tornado warning system.
Also ahead, internet safety, some do's and don'ts for kids online.
How can I best prevent my private information from being hacked?
I would like to know why there are fake videos and fake information on the internet.
Plus, Orange Crush. This adorable baby monkey is capturing hearts at one zoo in Oklahoma. We're there with details. And sweet message.
You are loved!
It means that you are always cherished in the darkest moments, and if you ever need someone to talk to, you can talk to people who love you because you are loved.
How one teacher inspired her 4th grade class to give back with a special Valentine's Day message.
This is NBC Nightly News, Kids Edition.
Welcome back to Nightly News Kids Edition. I'm Lester Holt. It's great to be with you. I hope you're all having a terrific week. We have an awesome lineup ahead, from our picture of the week to a sweet story about a little girl who is finding comfort in the hospital through music. Plus, slam dunk. This college basketball star just made history. We'll explain. But let's begin this week overseas. The country of Ukraine has been in the news a lot lately for a couple of reasons. The first is this week marks 2 years since Russia invaded Ukraine. And the second reason has to do with funding and aid for Ukraine and whether the United States will continue to supply aid to Ukraine. Let's take a look at where things stand 2 years later. And kids, you may want to grab a parent or grown-up to watch with you in case you have questions. Across the country and around the world, people have come together the last 2 years to show their support for the people of Ukraine. 2 years ago this month, the Russian military invaded Ukraine, and since then, the two countries have been at war. But why? Well, the answer has deep roots. Let's begin with geography. Ukraine is a country located in Eastern Europe, bordered by 7 countries. It is slightly smaller than the size of Texas. Ukraine has a long and complicated history with its neighbor to the east, Russia.
Ukraine used to be part of the country that we now know as Russia. It split off about 30 years ago.
Russia used to be part of something called the Soviet Union, which for about half a century was one of the most powerful countries in the world, and Ukraine was a part of that country. But in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, and Ukraine gained full independence.
The leader of Russia, Vladimir Putin, has always been uncomfortable with the fact that Ukraine split off from Russia. He worries that it's hostile to him. He would like to create a grand Russia that's very powerful, of which Ukraine is a part.
Putin says Ukraine is an important part of Russia's history. But many Ukrainians do not want to be a part of Russia again and prefer to remain an independent nation. The United States agrees, and so do other allied countries.
And an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny.
Looking at Russia attacking Ukraine and trying to make it a part of its own country raises the obvious question, is this something that just happens all the time between countries on Earth? And the answer, this almost never happens. And when it happens, it's considered to be a terrible thing to do.
Like all wars, it has been especially hard for children. Many kids were taken out of Ukraine when the war started. Some even relocated here to the United States. For the children who stayed, home has changed. Kids are still attending school in Ukraine, but not quite like before. Because of the war happening around them, some kids have to attend classes in shelters, like subway stations and basement bomb shelters. The United States has been a strong supporter of Ukraine since the war began. providing a lot of money and security assistance. But now some members of Congress are rethinking this support, leading many to wonder if Ukraine's military can still successfully stand up to the Russian army without American help, or that of other countries. Look, we know the thought of two countries at war with one another can be scary and may make you feel sad or anxious. That's okay, say doctors. It's normal to feel that way.
I think it's normal for you to feel anxiety, to feel a sense of panic, to feel uncertain about what's going to happen in the future. And at the same time, I want you to know that your heart is in the right place, that you do care. And when you feel upset by it, it means you're human. It means you're sensitive to what's happening in the world. And these are great things.
All right, now it's time for our pop quiz. In honor of the President's Day holiday this week, the question is, who was the youngest president of the United States? Was it A, George W. Bush, B, Theodore Roosevelt, or C, Barack Obama? I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Okay, time's up. The answer is B, Theodore Roosevelt. At just 42 years old when he first took office, Teddy Roosevelt was the youngest president of the United States. On the other end, our current president, President Joe Biden, is history's oldest president, having taken office at 78 years old. The U.S. Constitution states, among other things, the President of the United States must be at least 35 years old to qualify for the office. All right, switching gears now to another favorite topic of mine, STEM. We're talking science, technology, engineering, and math. And some kids just found out they won a national STEM challenge. We learned about the winners and this challenge through our sponsor, Walton Family Foundation. Let's get details now from our friend Ellison Barber.
My name is Linda Piston.
My name is Anya Drought.
At just 11 years old, students Linda Piston and Anirudh Rao are using the power of science to tackle some pretty big problems.
Today, I would like to talk about my invention, Revere, an early tornado warning system.
My project is called Worms for the Win.
They're just two of 126 students who were just recently named champions in Explorer's first ever National STEM Challenge.
For the first ever year of the National STEM Challenge, we had 2,549 students submit projects. A lot of these projects were looking at people in the community that maybe needed help and kids tackling that and figuring, like, if I can just make one person's life better, that's what I'm gonna do.
I have big dreams for this research.
Linda's project, called Worms for the Win, explores the potential for mealworms to help fight pollution caused by polystyrene, also known as styrofoam.
Polystyrene can take up to 500 million years to decompose, but mealworms can digest it. I want to know if mealworms could live on just polystyrene and still complete their life cycle. And guess what? They can.
After running a few experiments, Linda discovered that a diet of polystyrene and wheat bran is the best solution for keeping mealworms healthy, while also breaking down polystyrene.
So this is the one with the hybrid diet. And you can see it, they're growing pretty well. They make a large dent in the polystyrene. You can see some of the holes. And then these are the ones that have in just polystyrene. And they're not as healthy as I'd like them to be, which is why the hybrid diet might be the solution, because they are doing fairly well and they seem very healthy and they're still eating the polystyrene.
Linda's findings have the potential to significantly reduce the amount of polystyrene currently polluting our world.
Like hundreds of tornadoes around the world.
Meantime, Anirudh decided to create a tornado warning system, motivated by a situation that sadly hit close to home.
So I was living in Nashville and some of my friends' homes were destroyed. And I really thought, with the technology we have today, why do we not have an effective early tornado warning system?
Anirudh's solution, a tornado warning system called Revere, named after American Revolutionary hero Paul Revere, who famously warned colonists that the British were coming.
It uses something called infrasound, which is a sound made by tornadoes in their early stages, which our human ears cannot hear. And it's from 0.5 to 10 hertz frequency, which is really low. And this can be detected over 60 miles away.
These are the 2 drones as part of my project.
Anirudh developed a system using drones to detect the sounds that tornadoes make as they're forming.
The base station has calculated the risk of a tornado low.
He says Revere has the potential to increase the warning time for a tornado up to 40 minutes, helping save lives and protect communities affected by tornadoes.
I'm happy that more people can learn more about tornadoes and how their effect is on our communities and how my device could help them.
As National STEM champions, Anirudh and Linda will be attending the National STEM Festival in Washington, D.C., where they'll present their projects to government officials and leaders in business and technology.
The way the festival is designed is for kids to be the experts and the people that teach us. So it's the opportunity for kids to not be the leaders of tomorrow. They're the leaders and the innovators and the solution seekers of today.
My dream is to have giant mealworm farms all across the planet that are eating our polystyrene, producing our fertilizer, and also solving world hunger through their protein. And those people at the National STEM Festival could help make that dream come true.
I'm very excited to go to Washington, D.C., and hey, I might even meet the president.
Amazing kids who are tackling the problems of today and paving the way for a brighter tomorrow.
Allison, thanks. Well, speaking of winners, the University of Iowa's Caitlin Clark just made history last week by becoming the all-time leading scorer in NCAA women's basketball. The superstar guard also set the Iowa Hawkeyes single-game scoring record. Way to go, Caitlin. Really awesome. Now let's head to Oklahoma for our picture of the week. The Oklahoma City Zoo and Botanical Garden is celebrating the recent birth of this Francois Langer. The baby monkey was born in late January to first-time mom Pam. The zoo says so far mom and baby are doing well. Did you know the Francois Langer is listed as endangered and is a type of leaf-eating monkey? Newborns have bright reddish-orange fur but quickly changes to black by the end of their first year. Turning now to this week's Spotlight, we're focusing on internet safety and how you guys can stay safe, learn, and have some fun when going online. Joining us now is Karen DeSalvo, Chief Health Officer of Google. Karen, thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you on this morning.
Oh, it's great to be here, Lester. Thank you for having me.
All right. Now, kids, of course, are using the internet all the time. I understand Google has developed a program called Be Internet Awesome. Can you explain what that's about?
Absolutely. You know, the internet is a place where everybody's going to learn, to connect, to game. It's also where people's future careers are going to be learned about, whether they want to be a doctor like me or a journalist like you or a teacher or an astronaut. So it's super important that you get a really healthy and safe relationship with the internet early on. And so we've teamed up with Highlights Magazine and have published this Be Internet Awesome curriculum that gives people tips and tools about how to understand what they're seeing, how to navigate and be sort of brave and thoughtful and alert online. And the magazine has all kinds of games and quizzes. It's actually really quite fun. I found it fun. I learned some things. And so I hope you'll ask your parents to go online and look for it at highlights.com so that you can get those tools and skills you need to be ready for this internet experience.
Of course, there's a real need for all that. We've got a few questions from some of our viewers. The first one is from Anthony, who is 12. Let's take a listen.
How can I best prevent my private information from being hacked?
It's a good question, but first of all, we should deal with the word hacked. What does it mean to be hacked, Karen?
Yeah, it's such a great question, Anthony. And when we talk about being hacked, you can think about your digital presence as like a house. And every room in the house, maybe a room where you game, the room where you have your social media, room where you have your email, and each of those rooms has a key or your password that keeps it locked. And when you get hacked, it means that somebody has gotten access to that password or that key and has been able to break in without your consent. And sometimes that's because they've figured out your password. Sometimes it's because they might have tricked you into giving your password. So getting hacked means that someone you didn't want to get into your digital space is in your digital space, just like someone that would break into your house, and you wouldn't want that to happen. So it's super important for people to remember you got to have a really strong password. You need to make sure that you're not sharing information about yourself online, especially if you don't know that person in real life, and you should never share your passwords. There's lots of other suggestions and tips about how to avoid being hacked. So I really do hope people will take a look at that.
Okay, let's get this next question from Bronson.
Hello, my name is Bronson. I'm 8 years old. I would like to know why there are fake videos and fake information on the internet.
Bronson, that's a great question, one we deal with a lot given the fact that we're journalists. So Karen, what would you say to Bronson?
Bronson, it is a great question, and it's one of the things that we're facing every day out there. And there's a lot of good information on the internet, but there are also fakes. We actually have a team of specialists here at Google who this is all they do every day, all the time, is work to identify fakes and pull them down, and also find ways that we can mark or label videos that are real, so people know, oh, this is a certified doctor that's showing this video on YouTube. These are teams that are thinking about ways to help you also identify what is real and what is fake based upon not just labeling, but you should get some tools about looking at the website to understand, does that website look real to you? Does it have misspellings, or is it showing something that doesn't really match the images that you were looking for? You were looking for zebras and it's showing you elephants. So it's about what we can do at Google to help address those fakes, but it's also you getting yourself some skills so that you know the kinds of things to look out for when you're online.
All right, I want to talk now, if we can, about screen time. Many of us spend a lot of time on our phones and in front of our computers, and you say kids should know when to say when.
Yeah, as a doctor, I always say everything in moderation. Too much salt, too much fat, not good for you, but you need some. It's the same thing with screen time. So we want to make sure that you're thinking about how long you've been on the screen. Sometimes the thing to do is set a timer. And if you've been on it for 25 minutes, the timer goes off. It's a chance for you to step away from the screen, take a look out the window to literally change your perspective, do a stretch. If you can take a walk, do something like that. Go look at a human in the eyes, go talk to somebody in your family. It's just really good to step away. It's also really good to think about how your experience online is making you feel, and make sure that you step away when it's making you feel bad or uncomfortable. Just know that you have control, that you can close down that screen or you can step away.
And Karen, I know most of our viewers, I'm sure, are very kind and have very good manners. But sometimes when we get on the internet, there's kind of a disconnect, and sometimes we don't see the best manners. What do you say about that?
It's just such an important thing for everybody to remember, Lester, that when you're online, sometimes you're not face to face. So people tend to not feel like they have to be as nice as they would be in real life. But kindness is such an important thing for all of us to spread throughout the world, including when we have our online presence. So, sometimes you might experience bullying also. And if that does happen, you should say something. Talk to someone that you trust, an adult, a parent, a teacher. Let them know what's happened. You should know you have some control about that. You can not reply to the bullying message. You can block that person. So just want you all to understand that it does happen, but it's really important that you and your behavior treat people online in the way that you would want to be treated, and not only online, but also in real life. And just remember that it can be cool to be kind.
I like that. Cool to be kind. Finally, Karen, I can't let you get away without a few questions about Google. We've got some from our viewers. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Lexi from Winchester, Massachusetts. My question today is, where did the name Google come from? Bye, I love Daily News Kids Edition.
Hi, I'm Isabel and I'm 10 years old.
Hi, I'm Tammy and I'm 9 years old.
And we're from Barcelona, Spain. My question is, I have two questions of Google. The first one is, who invented Google? And the second one is, what inspired them to create it? Thank you so much. Bye. We love Nightly News for Kids. Yeah.
Oh, terrific, guys. We're glad you're watching in Barcelona. And Dr. Karen DeSalvo, let me ask you very quickly about that. Where did the name come from, and who invented it?
Well, I love all the enthusiasm, so thank you guys so much. So Google was created by two friends, Larry and Sergey, who met when they were at Stanford University, and they decided that they wanted to do something with what was a new invention at the time, the internet, and make it easier for people to get their question answered online. So from their dorm room, they created this new company called Google, and the Google search that we all use today. They called it Google because they named it after a math term, Google, and that stands for a very huge number that is 1 with 100 zeros after it. But it's spelled differently. So the company Google is spelled Google, and the math term Google is spelled Googol. So it's also a homophone. And so it's a way that we can think about it in literature and in math. But the reason they chose Google is because Google is not just a big number, it's a big number of information that people would be able to find all over the world. And I will say I'm very glad that they invented Google because it's a really fun place to work.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard someone say, I'm going to Google it. I'm like, you're going to what? And now, of course, it's, we say it a million times a day. Dr. DeSalvo, great to have you on. Thanks for sharing some important advice with our viewers. We appreciate it.
Outstanding. Thank you for having us.
We want to turn now to a sweet story that caught our eye recently. It's about a little girl who was in the hospital but has found some comfort and joy thanks in part to Taylor Swift. We have details now from our friend Ava Maldonado.
Meet Hannah.
My name is Hannah and I am 7 years old.
The 7-year-old loves Disney, princesses, and of course, Taylor Swift.
I think I started hearing it when I was like 5 or 6, and then I started loving it. And then I kept loving it and loving it.
The little Swiftie says it's Taylor who has helped her stay positive while spending time in the hospital.
I love you and I'm so happy when everyone sings Taylor Swift with me. Taylor Swift's music puts me in a better mood.
You see, Hannah is waiting for a heart transplant.
She has a mechanical device because her heart is so sick that it can't pump efficiently for her body. And her specific device, based on her age, is a device that can only be in the hospital. So she's currently waiting for a heart transplant.
But through it all, Hannah has been remarkably brave. With the help of her family and the hospital staff, Hannah has found some comfort and joy through music.
Calm music, upbeat music, and other kinds of music make me do different stuff.
Her nurses are her friends, as she's put it. I think she's told her family a couple times, hey, see you later, I'm going to hang out with my friends tonight. So I think that's been a good testimony too to just how great she is and how great the staff is in the PCICU.
Hannah has also been making friendship bracelets.
One of my friends made me this one. So I have this one that is lover with like strawberries on it. It has grapes, a yellow star, a dolphin, and a seashell, and other like pink flakes and yellow flakes on it.
She's a real testament to the resiliency of children, as well as specifically her. She's just such a bright, shining beacon of joy in the hospital and unit. And I think that's been also attributing to not only her positive attitude and just the strength that comes within her and her family.
A young girl showing strength and courage despite the circumstances.
Ava, thanks so much. And Hannah, we're keeping you in our thoughts. Finally, in our Inspiring Kids series, students at one Indiana elementary school are paying it forward thanks to a special Valentine's Day message from their 4th grade teacher. Our friend Natasha Cassell has the story.
You are loved. That's the motto this Valentine's Day for students in Mrs. Ruley's 4th grade class.
The rooted meaning behind that is that every child has a purpose based off their unique personalities and talents and who they are. So our classroom is You Are Loved, because we wanted to kind of extend outside of our classroom walls and say that every child is loved and every person matters as well.
Mrs. Ruley decided she would buy all of her students shirts that say You Are Loved. She is using the shirts as a teaching moment, giving her students a chance to share what it means to them personally.
It means that you are always cherished in the darkest moments, and if you ever need someone to talk to, you can talk to people who love you because you are loved.
Then, as the idea grew, the students decided the shirts could have a bigger purpose. Mrs. Ruley expressed her students came up with the idea to make a fundraiser. The proceeds are now going to help homeless children. I asked Mrs. Ruley what her reaction was when her students approached her with this idea.
I was so happy. So knowing that it came from them and it's their light that is showing, I can bring tears to my eyes. So when the students that they came up with that idea, I wasn't surprised. So when children, when they reach that potential and they know that light inside of them, they want to spread that light to other people. So knowing that they reach that potential to want to spread love and kindness and let other children and people know that they matter.
You are loved! All right, Natasha, thanks very much. Well, that is going to do it for us parents. Just a reminder, if your child has a question about any topic in the news, email a video to us at NightlyNewsKids@NBCUni.com, and we'll try to answer them in an upcoming episode. You can also follow us on Instagram @NightlyKids. Thanks for watching, and remember to take care of yourself and each other. So long.